Hey guys, I hope you're doing well. It's Hikari and today I'm going to be drawing in my sketchbook, continuing the series that I've been recently working on. I'm not completely sure how to describe this series, but basically I've been drawing little people inside of things in my house, which out of context might sound scary or like I'm going insane, but please just stay with me on this one. This project started because I was bored and just staring off into space in the kitchen. And I just wondered how people would live in a teapot. That's it. That's just what I wondered. So I started drawing, and before I knew it, I had drawn this. And I actually really like this, so I'm gonna give you a quick tour if you don't mind. This is the first teapot colony, and when I say colony, I mean more like a colony of ants because that was like the initial image I had. I'm not referring to the not so positive historical image of colonization or anything like that. With that out of the way, so in this teapot colony there's like 5 sections, and there's the gate, and then the bureaucracy, airport, and then the living area, and then a palace, or is it? So the first thing is the gate, or the lid of the teapot, opens every day, and then there's this like guard who is at the teapot area. And then if you go down this like tube, you're taken to this like bureaucracy area, or like, you know, a place where you can sign in kind of thing. And then it's also like a share office, so there's a lot of people working here. And you know, because there's a tube here, you might get a little sick, but if you get out here, it's like the airport, like the in-between area, and there's a lot of people like traveling. And then if you go down this escalator, I wrote elevator but I meant escalator. If you go down, there's the living area where there's people living and playing here, there's couples eating, and there's people sleeping and stuff. But if you go down this tube, there's like a secret palace area, and you know, you can get into line and ask the king for anything you want. But there's like a shadow behind the king, so I had the idea that maybe he's like a puppet, or it's like a Wizard of Oz situation. Like something fishy is going on here. But you know, these are like the portraits of other royals. And there's also the tip area, which is basically like the cool kids hangout area, I think. And this elder is telling him to go inside because it's dangerous. But there's also like rebel group kind of people who are escaping from the teapot to go outside here. And if you go into detail, there's like other storylines going on, but that's like the general gist of it. And after working on this teapot colony, I decided to do another one the next day, and I decided to pick our toaster oven, which, did you guys know that was the name of this thing? Because I didn't. But I feel like toaster ovens are weird. Like if someone lives inside human objects, this is it. And the grid portion here, where you put the actual toast, it made me think of like a tanning station, so that's the idea I went with. But also, toaster ovens are unique in that humans can look inside from here, which means that if there are people inside, they can look outside to the humans as well. So this toaster oven is like a tanning salon / movie theater where people can watch humans outside. So it's like this, and there's like commentators who are commentating on what's happening outside with the humans, and then there's people watching and tanning. These are like people relaxing. And if you go down, there's like the line for getting food. These are people in front of like the movie posters taking pictures. There's a random fortune teller. There's a kid running away and the dad is trying to catch him, you know, stuff like that. And these guys are like trying to look in, and even though the heat's coming out, they don't want to pay the ticket, so they're trying to peek in to see the screen. And I think the dials in the front, they either control like the volume of the screen, or they control like the heat of the tanning. So I imagine there's like workers outside that control the dial, and they have headphones so they can communicate with the people inside to see what they need to control at that time. These are the sketches that I've worked on so far, and this series reminded me of some childhood books that I used to read that might have been unconsciously like inspirations for these. There's the Tabi no Ehon, or it's also known in English as Anno's Journey apparently. Very different title, but it's a great picture book by Anno Mitsumasa. And there's also another book called Keiki o Sagase, or Where is the Cake, by Tjong-Khing, which I might have pronounced wrong. But basically, in both of these books, there's like no words, but it's just very detailed illustrations where there's a lot of story happening at once, and then the more you look at the pages, the more stories you can follow. And I think that's what I want these sketches to eventually look like. Like, if I create a more brushed up version of these sketches, I want to pack it with random characters living their individual stories, and the more you look at different areas of the sketch, there's like a different story. I think that would be really fun. I think the 2 books I mentioned earlier, they're such great books. I would definitely recommend, even if you're adults. It's just a very fun experience. But the book from my childhood that I was reminded of the most from these sketches was probably Stephen Biesty's Incredible Cross Sections, which is a book by Richard Platt. And there's these like illustrations of like buildings and other things cut up, and you can see inside and how people are interacting in it. And I think I've always been fascinated by stuff like this, but now it's like coming back in these sketches, and I think doing this with household objects around me is more fun, and it makes more sense to me because I'm more familiar with these objects than like, say, the Titanic, for example. Anyways, that was a lot of talking just to say that I want to do more of these, and the sketch I decided to work on next was the printer. So let's finally get to the drawing section. So printers. They're a weird contraption, right? It's kind of like a magic trick, like a blank paper goes in and then the print comes out on the other side. Like, yes, I know how printers work, sort of. But if you just look at them simply, they're very cool. So I first sketched the printer at our house and, figured out the parts and functions that I wanted to keep for this drawing. For example, we can feed paper from the back of the printer, and the printer can also like scan stuff if you flip the top lid open. So that's something I wanted to keep. And I thought maybe this scanning area can be like a VIP pool area because you can see inside the printer from this clear scan where you put the paper. And like water is kind of a see-through thing that you can look to the bottom of. So do you see the connection? I did. So this top lid is an area where people relax and watch what's happening underneath them. And then I drew like little workers looking out of the touch panel screen because I was like, maybe that's a window that they're like looking out of to communicate with the outside workers to see if they're on schedule with the printing and stuff like that. Because in my image, this printer still needs to function as a printer for humans, but it's like still an entertainment area for these little people. And speaking of entertainment, I thought the paper could be like a slide down and out, and that would be a fun activity for everyone. And because there's like an upstairs pool as well, I decided that this printer is like a water park adjacent for these little people living in my house. So they can jump off of like diving boards of various sizes onto sliding paper, and people can also slide down from the very top or the very back, which is outside of the printer. But I think access here would be hard because, it's outside, so there's like a tall, thin ladder that goes up, and that's where they would hypothetically jump through from. And I'm terrified of heights personally, so I wanted to draw some people who are also scared of heights. Like, there's the one guy who's scared of jumping down, and then there's the guy who's also like scared of diving. And I think the idea I landed on eventually is that the people sliding on the paper leaves a trace, and that's how the ink is printed on the paper, and that eventually like comes out, and that's like the print that we as humans receive, something like that. So like the lifeguard-ish workers with the hats, they need to be really accurate in when they send people down the slide or when they let people dive. But they're obviously not perfect, and that's why there's sometimes prints that are like smudged or like the wrong color. At least that's my experience with the printer in our house. So like maybe this whole sketch is just me giving our printer an excuse to be imperfect. But anyways, back to the fun water park idea. I think the bottom around the slide and stuff is just like a large area for eating and food trucks and ice cream stands to be there. And they're all on like the back wall, which is like the right side of this drawing. And there's like couples and kids and a lot of people just hanging out in this area because, it's like the entertainment area for these people. I also wanted to keep the printer-like aesthetic, so their posters are like the paper sizes, like A4, A5, and stuff like that. And here I ran into the obstacle of like, how do I make this area seem big without it being too empty? And like the ceiling is maybe a little too high for me to like decorate it and stuff. So I added like this bulging part at the back wall on the right side, which is like a worker's room for the lifeguards to keep track of their printing and stuff. yeah, like I don't really know either, but that's what I came up with while drawing. So that's the actual drawing, and then afterwards I added like the notes and explanations around it to continue this series' like aesthetic and format that you saw in the other two. But yeah, I basically explained everything to you guys as I drew it here, so that's about it. And here's the final sketch. I'm mildly happy with it. Like, I had an idea. I wish I could show that it was a printer more, but like overall, very fun to draw. And I think my favorite though is still the original teapot one, but like let me know what your favorite is in the comments down below. Overall, I'm really happy and really liking this series of drawings or sketches, so I might continue this in the future. Like, I was thinking maybe if these designs were on a t-shirt or stickers, like that would be pretty cool. So I don't know, I need to get on that. But anyways, thanks for watching this video, even if it was a lot of rambling. I'm really enjoying making videos for you guys that I'm just passionate about and sharing it with you all. So yeah, I'm very thankful for you all. Again, thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day wherever you are. I hope maybe this video can inspire you to, I don't know, look at things and be like, what if people lived in them? No, that's not it. Like, maybe it can inspire you to look at everyday objects and see a different perspective or beauty to it. I don't know, something like that. But thanks again, and bye!